Hello everyone, this is Mark from sportstalk.pub. We just arrived back from the baseball coaching clinic at Mohegan Sun, where we recorded a really good interview that we want to share with you between Karl Avdek and Steve Springer, discussing the mental aspect of playing baseball.
So we're here with my friend Steve Springer. He is really kind of opened up the mental approach to baseball with a series of audio tapes. He was a scout at the time, I believe. Am I correct? And then started doing this, and I mean, he's just he's the guy. I do it, but he has been a major league coach, and his stuff has really impacted the careers of a lot of people.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, I was the mental coach the last 8 years for the Blue Jays. I played 14 years in the minor leagues. I was sort of a legend in the wrong league. I spent 11 years in AAA. Played in 1,591 minor league games and had 1,592 hits. I was glad to see that. I got 2 hits.
Crash Davis, you're Crash Davis.
You got nothing on me. Got 2 hits in each league in the big leagues. You know, it doesn't sound that great until I tell you I was 4'11", 90-pound freshman in high school. I got 3 at-bats. When I was a senior, I was 5'8", 140 pounds, so I grew 9 inches in high school. I just went from tiny to small. First year on varsity, nobody ahead of me, and I had a sophomore take my job. My brother was a stud, 1 year older than me. He was all-state at Golden West Junior College, and I went out for the team there thinking, no, the coach knows I'm coming there. He didn't even have to call me because he didn't. And I went out for the team, and I got cut, which is baffling how bad this coach thought I sucked. My brother's all-state, and I get cut. So I got a job at Disneyland working on the canoes, trying to get bigger, stronger, faster, and 3 days later my brother came home with the uniform because 3 guys quit. So I was 19 years old on the team. I got 3 at-bats the whole year, and I ended up playing in the big leagues. So my message for kids and parents out there is your kid's not too small, right? I mean, a lot of kids are really, really small when they're 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, but they will grow. And most kids that when they get their man body, they could shrink 2 inches and be a big leaguer if they have ability, right? You got to be strong, got to have instincts, got to be a baseball player, but you don't need to be 6'2" or 6 foot even. I mean, fortunately, I grew 4 inches when I was 20, and now I'm 6 foot, 170 pounds. I was always a good player. I just wasn't strong enough. I didn't need to grow 4 inches. I needed to get stronger, and I got stronger and went from a second-string second baseman to an all-conference shortstop in 1 year. Got a full ride to UCLA, greatest 5 days of my life, until I looked at my transcript. I couldn't get in. I was like, really, buddy, you took badminton? So that sucked. And then I ended up going to University of Utah. Hurt my arm, DH the whole year. And best thing about baseball, you're going to be evaluated every day by somebody. And I had 50 scouts in the stands, see Rick Aguilera, Wally Joyner, and Corey Snyder.
Sure.
All right, younger people think Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, and Clayton Kershaw, because that's who these guys were.
Absolutely.
And I went 5 for 5 that day with a bomb, 2 doubles, and 5 RBIs, and I got drafted by the New York Mets.
God bless.
It was awesome. It's mind-blowing. Like, I can't tell you how many people told me, you're too small, you're only here because you're brother. You're not going to play in high school, college, pro ball, or get to the big leagues, and I got there.
My question right there is, I mean, it's mind-blowing.
It's the baseball version of Rudy, but it's even better.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I can't tell you how many books I've given away, how many of your tapes and all that kind of stuff. I mean, this is just a great life lesson. Forget about even baseball. So what was it? Was it just hell with you, I'm going to show you? What was the mental set that you had, the emotional set? Was it I'm going to prove that I can do this? Was it the passion for the game? What kept you going?
Well, it's like we talked about earlier. One, I knew the alternative, getting a real job. I didn't want to do that. I felt I was good enough to play in the big leagues. Like, once I got that good body, my man body, and I led a league in hits in A-ball, then I went to AA, then I went to AAA in like quick 2.5 years. So I spent 11 years in AAA, and in my mind, you can't tell me that I shouldn't have spent 5 years in the big leagues.
Absolutely.
It's like Billy Bean's quote on my website. He said, "Spring, if you knew this at 18 instead of learning at 30, people might know who you are." I'm like, thanks, buddy.
It's the truth.
Yeah, and so it's, I feel blessed to say I got 2 hits in each league from that story that I just told you, and but like I said, you can't tell me I shouldn't have spent 5 years, and this is what I'm teaching now.
What happened with when you were in the minor leagues? Because you kind of had, you know, I wonder sometimes when I read your story if you weren't saying to yourself, "Oh, I've been to this movie before." Because I agree, I've done a lot with the minor leagues, and you certainly were that kind of player. Did you get frustrated during that process?
I think the biggest frustration is I was with the New York Mets in the 80s. And my AA team, we had 18 guys playing the big leagues. You know, I was like, all my buddies labeled me the best that's never been to the big leagues. I think if I was with another organization, maybe not as strong, I might have got a little bit, you know, better luck. But I was fighting Wally Backman, Tim Tuffle, and then Greg Jeffries came up, Keith Miller came up. And so I was always seemed like I was just half a step behind in the people's mind.
Did you ever think about asking to be traded? Did you ever think?
Yeah, I got traded in 1988 with the White Sox. I re-signed with them in '89, had a good year, MVP of the team, no call-up. And then I signed with the Indians in '90. And John Hart, I remember it was like it was yesterday, it's in my book, that you know, he came in, I was sitting decent, and I said, "Hey John, man, is there any chance I'm going to get a call?" And he's like, "Spring, just keep doing what you're doing." And like a couple weeks later, I got the call for the first time after 8 years in the big leagues, I believe. I mean, in AAA, and it was just awesome, man. It was, you know, I asked Keith Miller one time, I said, "What's the big leagues like?" And he said, "Spring, picture it as good as you could picture it, and then times it by 10. And he was right. And I got 2 hits with them, spent 3 weeks in the big leagues. Next year, I signed with the Mariners, hit 17 bombs, learned how to drive the ball a little bit. Then I re-signed with the Mets. And I got called back up with the Mets in 1992. You know, I consider myself.
I've seen your on tape. I've seen your first at bat.
Right, and my whole identity for me in baseball is I was a New York Met. I spent 1 day in New York in my life. I get called up one day, Phillies, pinch hit off of Mitch Williams. If I don't swing the bat, then you saw the other one. Then I would have walked, but I struck out.
I saw the Mitch Williams one also.
Well, we went to the West Coast, and I went like 2 for 5, and I got sent down before I put my hat in my locker. Jeez. And they said they were going to call me up in like 5 days, and 2 days later they traded David Cohn to Toronto for some stiff named Jeff Kent. and so he stole my parking spot, Hall of Famer. But it was awesome. It was fun.
Now, you took all that experience and you became a scout.
I was scouted with the Arizona Diamondbacks 2 years before they had a big league team.
And then all of a sudden you get, I don't know, tell me if it was an epiphany or whatever, but you translated this into just this incredible audio tape, which gets to the bottom line. It's it's spoken at a level that the players get right away. So what induced you to do that? How did you get to that?
I had a guy named Tommy McCraw, and he was he did what I do with the Blue Jays. He was a mental coach. He was a hitting coach. He was a rover, so he'd come in for 3 days a month. And every time he was in town, I was a study. He had me thinking right. We were talking. I was confident. And because I'm a dummy, I'd carry it for 3 days. And then I'd forget it. So as dumb as I was smart enough to realize when that guy was around, I was good. So I went in his room with a tape recorder and talked to me about me for 20 minutes, and it changed my life. And so that's how I got after I scouted for 5 years with the Diamondbacks, I became an agent. Don't ask me why I did that, but I did it. And my whole mind was try to help my clients get a mental game. So I got a tape recorder. I was in the car door was opening, and it wasn't clean. It was sloppy. And I gave it to my brother who played 6 years pro ball, and he's like, "Dude, this is good stuff, man. Clean it up." So I got my head spin. I went in a recording studio, made quality at bats. The first CD, I gave one to George Horton, a Hall of Fame coach at Fullerton. And I didn't know if he was going to listen to it, but he did. And that week they were playing Miami in Miami, the number 1 team in the country, and they swept them. And they scored 10 runs a game.
Wow.
He had this whole team listen to it 5 hours before the game. And that's when I sort of knew I had something. And then I started speaking across the country, camps, Irvine camps, USC camps, and for free. And you could count the parents in the stands. And that's how many CDs I was going to sell when I was done speaking. Because little Johnny ain't walking around with a 20. But the parents were good. And then I just, got back into scouting. And then I met Tony LaCava with the Blue Jays, and he loved my stuff. And
Oh,
he took me, and I've been there the last 8 years working with kids on how to compete, how to be a better competitor than you are a player. I got some big names that call me: Nolan Arenado, Mark Trumbo, AJ Pollock,
Arenado was the one
Goldsmith.
that, not to diminish anybody else, but he was just a bear last year. He was just
He's one of the top 5 competitors in the world, not just in baseball. And so, I played junior football with his dad when I was 8. So I've known Nolan forever, and just a great competitor. AJ Pollock is a better person than a player. I mean, he's awesome. He turned Goldsmith on to me. Ben Zobrist got my CD when he was 25 years old in AA. And he said it changed the way he thought, and so it's just so cool. Here you got a guy that didn't start in high school, got cut in college, played in the big leagues. Now I got Major League All-Stars calling me, and all we talk about is competing and getting the right player, because every player has 2 players in them. I got confident Nolan, who's a star, and I got non-confident Nolan, who sucks. Well, that guy doesn't play anymore. Right? And it's easier said than done, because we're playing a game where I can do everything right, and baseball says I suck. I hit 3 balls right on the screws right at somebody. My batting average goes down. I think I failed, and now the wrong guy starts playing. So my main vein when I speak is your career starts when you say, I don't care what I hit. The batting average is the biggest trap in the game. I can't have a goal where I can do everything right and go over.
With one addendum to that is that, interestingly enough, I think I understand what you're saying, but when you do what you talk about, you are successful. I think
there's freedom in not thinking.
The batting average is just when you stop thinking about that. When you start as you said, attack the inside half of the ball and hit the ball hard. You
hit the ball hard, you win. That's what I tell my kids when I do mentoring. I say, when somebody asks you what you do for a living, you tell them you hit balls hard for a living. And if you get a hit, it's a bonus. I got a new game, new pitcher, new hero every single night I play. And most kids are going to let yesterday's game play today. And that's great when you get 2 hits. Because if I wrote the word confidence in the dictionary for a hitter, the definition is going to be when I get hits. And I don't care if it's swing and bunt, I feel good. Bring that guy into the next day. But when you go 0 for 4, if you're in that 1 for 20 funk, and if you don't go 1 for 20 times,
been there, done that.
Right?
Yeah.
And
I was a scholarship player in college, 0 for 19 one year, the start of the season. Oh my God!
It's misery. Now you're 0 for 1. Now you're 0 for 20. Now you're 0 for 2. Now and it just goes. And this is my new thing. I got a text from Augie Garrido, Hall of Fame coach, and he said, "This is the best thing that you've ever said. Is if you could get players to play every single day like it's opening day, because nobody in the history of baseball has ever walked up the plate on opening day with no confidence ever." Because there's no yesterday yet.
Did you ever, I've never played golf my entire life, but I used to turn the set on and watch Tiger Woods. He just radiated off of them. He wasn't thinking about the leaderboard, the next shot, he was thinking about that, whatever he had to do, and that's the secret to playing this also.
Well, I've always said that if you're just teaching mechanics as a coach, you're serving the appetizer, you're skipping the dinner. Right, the dinner's the game and the mental side, and I used to think baseball was about the mind, the approach, and mechanics, all 3 important in that order. I've sort of changed it to, I believe the number 1 thing for players that fail is their approach is bad. And what I mean by that is too many hitters try and hit 94 and 79 at the same time. Well, until I get 2 strikes, I'm in control in that batter's box, and I'm going to hunt speeds. Because I don't care how confident you are, how good your mechanics are, if your approach sucks, you're going to lose your confidence and your mechanics are going to break down.
Absolutely.
So why am I trying to hit the fastball, curveball, slide up, change up, when I don't have to? I'm in control in that box, and this is what I tell my players. You don't have 5 at-bats tonight, you got 27 minimum, but 22 when your buddies are hitting and you're watching the pitch and you're studying for the test. The pitcher's the test. I'll give you anybody in my house in Huntington Beach if there's a chemistry test in the 3rd inning of your next game. That pitcher's a test. Keep your eyes on him, watch him, see what he's throwing. Get the little lefty out there throwing 2-1 changeups to your buddies and is successful. And you come up with runners on 2nd and 3rd with a 2-1 count, you've already smoked his fastball. You think you're going to get another fastball? So all of a sudden we start sitting on something we're going to get rather than what we're going to hit or what we want to hit. I always want to hit a middle-end fastball. My production doubled when I started sitting on something I was going to get. How come we could all hit the breaking ball machine in the cage and it turns invisible during the game? Because we know it's coming in the cage. Well, until I get 2 strikes, bro, everybody's like, oh, you're a guess hitter. Yes, I am.
Absolutely.
But it's educated guessing. It's not flip a coin, tails, sit breaking ball. I know what I did my last at-bat.
What you just said about the 27 at-bats, that's my mantra. That's a trick question. I go, how many at-bats you go? I go 3, 4. I go, No, dude, you got 27.
Well, and I believe also, if you want to be a Major League Baseball player, and the next time you watch a game on TV, don't watch it like a fan. Watch it like you're going to get an AB, right? And see what this guy's throwing and think with him. See how many times you can be right. You know, if he's not getting the breaking ball over, he's a one-pitch pitcher. But I got to know this. This is why we watch. I believe that video on a pitcher 2 weeks ago is great. I believe that watching every pitch he throws tonight is 10 times better.
Absolutely.
See, I'll get Blue Jay players coming at 18, first-round pick, signed for $2 million, and they've never gotten one for 20. And all of a sudden they pop that one for 20, and they walk back to the dugout like this. And I tell my coaches, man, you better hope that's immaturity and not makeup, right? And this kid looks like he's got good makeup. Be a great competitor. Be a better competitor than you are a player, right? I tell these kids, because all these 18-year-old first-rounders think they're going to be Mike Trout, 20-year-old big leaguer. Mike Trout's a freak. Right? So I told them they're 18 years old. If you could play in the big leagues for 10 years, but you're not getting there till you're 25, deal or no deal. Their initial thought is, I want to be 21, 22-year-old big leaguer. I said, that's not the question. 10 years, you're not getting there till 25. Everybody says yes. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. That's 7 years you're not playing in the big leagues. That's 7 years to get great at learning how to show up to be the best competitor on the field with an attainable goal to hit the ball hard and help your team win. And if you get great at that, it might be at 21, 22. But too many players let their mind get in the way of their ability instead of help their ability. Right? And this is the whole thing. This is a thought. It's not a mechanical thing. It's a thought of who's actually going to play. Because we're all going to compete. But am I competing with confidence is the question. In a game where I can do everything right, baseball says I suck. You know, it's like I told you, I can't spell psychology, but I teach it. I mean, I know it starts with an S, and that's it. Some of you guys going, yeah. But I would tell them to just keep playing, you know, and keep competing, have fun, right? Don't put, I mean, too many kids play this game with tension, anxiety, and pressure instead of calmness, toughness, and focus, right? Having some fun. And it's one of my lines. You want to play with tension, anxiety, and pressure, go join the military.
What was the line in The Rookie where the player that Dennis Quaid comes in and says, you know what we get to do today? We get to play baseball. That's it in a nutshell.
Well, and what if we face the greatest pitcher in baseball? You're one of the 9 luckiest people in the world to face the greatest pitcher in baseball. That's all how you look at things. But too many, as men, we look at our negatives more than our positives. Right, I feel I'm a decent guy, and I'll think about my 10% of my demons 100% of the time.
Well, you're what the clinical psychologists tell us is that's how we're wired. Our reptilian, our primal brain is what kept us out of the range of the bears. So we're really programmed to be negative and look at things with what danger looks like.
Negative people suck.
Yeah, you have to teach yourself to be positive.
Well, and it's a choice. It's a choice. But I know baseball. I did it. I touched it. I felt it. I went 1 for 20 times. I know how it feels. It sucks, right? But when I said I don't care what I hit, I'm here to help my team win tonight. Freedom.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think anybody's reinventing the wheel with quality at-bats. It's any RBI. Do I think any hit's a quality at-bat? Probably not. A 2-0 jam shot over the guy's head's not a quality at-bat. But because we're all going to get them, I'll give it to you, right? Because I know the batting average is never going to go away. Until there's a hard hit contact title in the big leagues, like I netted more baseballs than anybody, line out's going to suck. If they gave a trophy at every level, I hit more balls harder than anybody, then when you line out and somebody says, way to swing it, you'll say thank you. And other than, yeah, right, whatever.
I couldn't agree with you more. They need to, well, with all the, what do they call it, analytics, I think that they're starting to do that, but they don't make it known to the public. Who uses the whole field, who moves runners, all those things are not statistically in front of the public, but they are the things that make you a great player.
I spoke to the University of Notre Dame girls softball team one night. I didn't even know they were showing up. 20 girls show up. They're all in, hitting's hitting, right? Talked about competing, talked about get rid of your batting average. They had a quality at-bat chart. The word batting average wasn't said the whole year, and they led the nation in hitting. See, there's not a confident batting average stat and a non-confident batting average stat. It's one stat. It has no brain. It does not care who's showing up. I'm trying to help you hit your highest batting average, by the way.
Yes.
By getting the right guy playing.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't mean you hit 300. It means you get the right guy playing. And that's the whole key. I can't tell you how many at-bats I pissed away because I was 0 for 4. And now I'm looking at the lineup, oh crap, if 2 guys get on, I got to hit again. Because I made it about me and my batting average going down. When I said I don't care what I hit, I could be 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. And now I'm looking at that same lineup, man, I need 2 guys to get on so I can be the hero.
I want to just mention that you're verbalizing around it what the bottom line is. You just really can't care about that stuff.
Sometimes we care too much. I give my kids permission not to be perfect. I give them permission not to get 3 hits today. Right. I've never asked Goldsmith to get 3 hits. I've asked him to be the best competitor on the field with an attainable goal to hit the ball hard and help the team win 1,000 times. Because there's 2 things that happen if you're not the best competitor on the field. 1, you have 0 chance of being the best player on the field, and 2, you're cheating your teammates because they need that guy showing up.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't mean you get 3 hits or win every game. It means you get the right guy playing every single day. Now you get 25 guys thinking that way, that's when the magic happens. I spoke to the University of Texas, Augie Garrido, 2012. I didn't know how they were doing. I knew their coach. I never met Augie. I said, hey, I'm in Austin. Want me to speak to your team? He said, Spring, if we go 6-0, we don't make our conference championship. He's like, there's no way Augie's going to pay you. I said, I'll do it for free. I said, all right, bring him in. So I go in there. I couldn't have spoke better. About ready to leave. My buddy's like, Augie wants to see you again. He's like, okay, buddy, we're going to pay you for that. I want you here next year for 3 days. Right? I go in there with the same team that just came in 9th place with freshmen and nobody else. They were 1 game away from the national championship at the World Series because he got 25 confident players showing up, an opening day mindset, and I don't give a crap mode about me. If you like your abilities and your abilities aren't showing up, it's not your abilities problem. It's what you're thinking, you think, you feel. Now that does sound like a psychologist, but it's right. It's true. I mean, do I know I could hit or am I hoping to hit? I got to know I could hit, man. And now I'm hunting speeds, and hitting gets a little bit easier. It takes the pressure off.
Absolutely.
Well, on defense, it's the same thing. I mean, in defense, I think infielders need to be thinking 2 things. If they're thinking, if it's going to be hit to me, it's brutal. I used to think they need to be thinking, it's going to be hit to me. I've changed it to be thinking, I want it to be hit to me. I want it to be a missile hit to me, so when it is, you're ready, and we need to be thinking side to side, left and right as an infielder. We don't get beat on balls in front of us unless it's a swing and bunt or a blookie behind us. We get beat left and right. I got to be ready to go left and right. And so now you got your infielders thinking that. I'm looking for the short hop, the long hop, and I want it to be a missile hit to me. Your defense gets better. And when you're doing defense and you're taking ground balls, with a buddy, don't ever not have any action on the line. Like I used to do this with Kevin Elster, who went 88 games with the Mets without an error. So I was like his butler. He'd go, Spring, cream and sugar. And I'd have to go get him a coffee because I booted more balls than him during practice. But we were competing. Instead of just going through the motions and doing ground balls, have something on the line, have some action on the line, so it's more game-like.
I'm sure you hear this all the time. The stuff that you're talking about, it's an easy segue. This applies to everything in life. It applies to schoolwork. It could be a musical instrument. Everything. It's such an unbelievable approach. I get kids. I had a basketball kid from California I worked with recently. I said you're gonna have to make some segues with the sport, but read this book, because how you engage, being competitive and everything is it isn't just baseball. It's applies to everything.
Well, I believe that baseball has the greatest life lessons out there. It teaches you how to win, teaches you how to lose, teaches you how to be a teammate. And now we get that guy playing in life, and it's good. I mean, make sure you guys go to my website, qualityatbats.com. Get my CD, DVD, parent CD, pitching CD, my book. It's money back guarantee. I believe in it so much. I believe it's right. I tell stories about those big leaguers, not to impress you, but to impress upon you, why can't this be me one day? It's too many players, like I said, man, they let other people dictate how they feel. Instead of, it's like that one Facebook thing, before you can consider yourself having depression, make sure you're not hanging around with idiots.
Well, I don't want to get into a long discussion, but there's so much pressure on these kids right now to perform in such it's probably it may be the most important thing that I talk about when I talk to groups is baseball's developmental, and you're the poster child for that. You're the poster child for that. And you could have quit at any point. You could have listened to what people said about you, but you didn't. And you were successful, and you continue to be successful. And there's so much perception out there that these kids have got to step away. And when I'm friendly with Louis Lopez, and he had a very similar story. Played 20 years professional baseball. I think he played a year with the Jays. And we were talking about that. And when he got signed, he got 2 gloves and a pair of spikes. That was his bonus. And I think I said it, but it's not what somebody else thinks about you, it's what you know about yourself. And that's why your stuff is so great, because it really teaches that lesson. Not only what you talk about, but what you lived is a great lesson.
Well, I also believe that too many kids are quitting this game at 13 years old because of the pressure that's put on them by the one who loves them.
78%.
Us parents and Johnny Testosterone Coach yelling at my 9-year-old. And I shot out a video for 2 minutes on Facebook on why kids quit on 13. And in 3 days, it got viewed 3.4 million times. I mean, that's how powerful the parent-player relationship is.
Wow.
And you know what? You Google it on YouTube, and I mean, it's like...
Good for you. Good for you.
I think it's really important for players to know what type of player they are. Like too many guys that have this much power try and hit a home run, instead of using their hand-eye coordination, being a line drive 200 hit guy. And that was my brother. He was 5'8", he had a little bit of sneaky pull pop, hit 8 home runs, hit 250. Instead of being a line drive guy, his numbers would have went up, probably would have played in the big leagues. You know, if I'm a big guy, I'm a corner guy, I got to drive the ball. If you can't drive it, don't swing, right? And this is why I'm into hunting speeds. Well, power is the most overrated tool in scouting. If you can't hit, power doesn't play. So my whole thing, I believe power comes when you're 24, 25, 26. So if I can become a good hitter, now the power plays. And that's what we're looking for.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, bud. Thanks, Karl.
Thank you.